welcome to this brief video on the 4-H Food Nutrition Project, more specifically on completing your project record form for the 4-H Food Show. Preparation is key to participating in the 4-H Food Nutrition Project, more specifically in completing that project in hopes of participating in the 4-H Food Show. So, before you complete your project, you should really consider reviewing your project objectives. What do you hope to gain from your involvement in this project? There's 2 resources available that you can review that can help guide you in understanding what the 4-H Food Nutrition Project can do for you and how you can learn some valuable knowledge and skills as it relates to food nutrition. The important part is you have to do this long before the 4-H Food Show. Here's the first resource that might help guide you in preparing your project objectives. The Texas 4-H Clover, also referred to as the Opportunities Handbook. This resource has some information in it that can help you establish some project goals. And these goals are centered around knowledge, skills, leadership, and service. Now the other part of this equation is the project objectives. The Texas 4-H Clover also lists some project objectives to help guide you towards some activities that will help you work towards your goals. They include activities related to knowledge, skills, safety, leadership, citizenship, environmental stewardship, economics, experiments, and even careers. So use the Texas 4-H Clover as you prepare to set up your food nutrition project. Keep in mind, this is something you do long before the 4-H Food Show. Another resource to help guide you towards your project objectives and your goals is the Food and Nutrition Project Description. In this document, there's a list of objectives, some printed resources, career opportunities, and other resources. This document is intended to give you an overview of the Food Nutrition Project. One important part of this is that it specifically lists some learning objectives. They include attaining a broad knowledge of the subject area, in this case food nutrition, acquiring life skills. These are skills you may acquire and use throughout your life in the Food Nutrition Project, applying the latest practices, career exploration, and building leadership. So those are all objectives that you should consider. It's important to remember that these are not the objectives that you will be using as part of your food nutrition project. These are intended to guide you to develop your own set of objectives in these general areas. Yours will need to be more specific in each of these 5 or other objectives that you may choose to list as part of your food nutrition project. So here's a list of the resources. You can find these resources on the District 12 4-H website. You can also find these resources on the Texas 4-H website. And one other website you can find these resources is the Texas AgriLife Extension FCS website. All 3 of those sites are listed here for your reference. Let's start with the project goals. Here are some things you might ask yourself. What would you like to learn? Or what would you like to do? It's important to be creative with your project goals and personalize those goals. All of these, of course, should be related to your food nutrition project. What do you hope to gain by being involved in the 4-H Food Nutrition Project? As mentioned previously, make it personal. If you're an athlete, perhaps there's something in the Food Nutrition Project that you would like to learn that relates to being an athlete. Dietary requirements, certain meals, certain types of foods. Perhaps you have a medical condition. Perhaps that condition requires that you eat certain foods or not eat certain foods. So perhaps your goals are related to maybe cooking better for yourself or meal planning. Whatever your goals are, you should make them personal and relate them, of course, to foods and nutrition. You should enjoy the project and learn from it. That should be clear in your project goals. Here's some very simple project goals as examples. Of course, you should make your own project goals. Perhaps it's to cook Chinese food. Perhaps it's to make homemade pizza. For the more advanced food nutrition project members, perhaps it's planning family meals. Whatever your goals are, think about them, ask yourself these questions, and plan accordingly. So what project activities would we do to support those goals? How do we determine what we're going to do to help us with those goals? Well, first and foremost, you want to visit with parents, leaders, agents, and even food service industry representatives. Get their input and get their advice on how you should set up your food nutrition project. Explore the activities that help you reach your goals. What are those things that will help you learn what it is you want to learn and get out of the food nutrition project? So we're going to look at the project information form. It's a 2-page form, and while some county and district food shows do not require 4-H members to turn in these forms, irrespective of that, this is something that all 4-H members should be able to fill out once they complete their 4-H project, regardless of their age division. We're going to go over these individually. The first section, of course, is some personal information related to name, address. What I want to draw your attention to is the food category. You will select one of 4 food categories: main dish, fruits and vegetables, breads and cereals, and nutritious snacks. The next section of the form asks about your project goals. Now, the project goals should be specific. It should be personalized to you as an individual. I mentioned perhaps you're an athlete, perhaps you have some kind of medical condition, diabetes, or some other kind of food allergy that you have to be very specific about how you set up your meals and what you eat. Whatever it is, make sure it's personalized. Be sure it matches your age and your year's experience in the food nutrition project. Don't oversimplify your project goals. If you're an older 4-H member that has many years of experience, those goals should reflect advanced goals. If this is your first year, keep it simple. There should be several goals, not just one. Of course, keep this in mind. This should all be done long before you even start your project. We're using the project record form to help guide us through the food nutrition project itself. The recipe is the next section of the project record form, and this is pretty simple. There are some resources that will help you follow the example that you see here and use the check sheet to set up your recipe in standard format. You may find recipes in magazines, you may find them online, you may find them from watching a television show. Those are great sources for recipes. However, you need to be able to take your recipe and put it in standard format. Let's talk a little bit about leadership in your food nutrition project. So we'll set this up by asking a question. What have you done to lead others in food and nutrition? What have you done to volunteer your leadership? What appointed leadership do you have within the food nutrition project? What elected positions have you been elected for in the food nutrition project? And please note that all of these questions that we're asking are in relation to food and nutrition. Your leadership activities should be consistent with your age and experience. And you'll see this as a repetitive type of theme in all of these sections. And of course, be specific. Be specific with the activities and describing the activities that you're doing as it relates to leadership, food, nutrition. And always, always, always look for opportunities to lead in the food nutrition project. So let's look a little bit closer at leadership. If we look at volunteers leadership, how would we volunteer to lead? Well, we could volunteer to train others, how to measure properly, how to organize kitchen equipment, how to follow a recipe, cutting fruits and vegetables. Those are examples of volunteer leadership within the food nutrition project. If we look at elected, very clearly a lot of clubs have a health and safety officer. That's one good way. Leading healthy snack exercises or activities within your club or your county program. And then appointed, get yourself appointed to serve on your county 4-H food show committee. The next part of your 4-H food nutrition project is community service. You should always be looking at opportunities to do community service as it relates to your project. Here are some examples. Taking healthy refreshments to meetings and activities. Perhaps this is for other groups in your community, not necessarily your 4-H club. You can volunteer at the local food bank or soup kitchen. Now that doesn't necessarily mean you have to serve food or cook the food. It could be soliciting food for the food bank itself. It could be helping organize, clean up, do something at the food bank. Provide transportation to others in the 4-H food nutrition project. Many times people don't participate in activities because they don't have transportation, and that's a wonderful way for you to do two things. One is to help others be more involved in 4-H, and two, support the food nutrition project. As simple as that may sound, certainly a good project for you to consider. Donating food items or soliciting food items. Coordinating food drives or other types of projects that are related to food nutrition. Raising funds to support service projects and establish a project campaign. Now all of these should be done within the 4-H food nutrition project as a theme and as a topic. The next section of your project record form, which is also another part of your food nutrition project, is the knowledge and skills learned. What did you learn? It's very important that you be specific. The next question you want to ask yourself is, does this link to your goals? We hope so. It should. You should be doing and learning things that lead you towards the goals that you mentioned early on before you even started your food nutrition project. So what is knowledge and skills? Well, you can ask yourself two really simple questions. What do you know as a result of your involvement in the 4-H food nutrition project? What you know is the knowledge side. What can you do now through your involvement in the 4-H food nutrition project? Those are your skills. So keep those in mind for that particular section. Now all of this clearly should relate to your 4-H food nutrition project. The form also asks for project activities. Of course, you can't do this 3 days before the food show or 3 days before the entries are due. So this is something you must set up early in your food nutrition project. Attend contests and judging events. Attend trainings, workshops, and other learning opportunities. Take some field trips, a tour, some kind of outing will help you. Attend project meetings. And one really great way to be involved in the food nutrition project, a lot of families have family events that the center of that event is around some kind of food activity. It could be canning, it could be holiday food prep. Many families, especially in South Texas, gather as a family and make tamales. So if that's what your family does, that's a wonderful way to be involved in the food nutrition project. The project summary is another part of the project record form and is pretty self-explanatory. This should be big picture items, but you shouldn't restate things that you've already mentioned in your form, for example, leadership, service, and activities. How has your project helped you personally? Okay, how has this changed your life? Did you gain something unexpected? Sometimes we think we know what we want to learn and what our goals are, but halfway through the process, we find out that we learned something completely different than what we thought we were going to learn. And this is a good place to put that. Has this helped you with future career choices? And finally, how did you enjoy the project? Did it meet your expectations? Did you like certain parts and not like certain parts? So use this section of your project record form to be descriptive. I hope you found this video useful in preparing your food nutrition project and helping you prepare your project record form for your county, district, or state 4-H food show.